It looked like a garden frame full of steel spikes, bolted to the front deck of a warship. 24 bombs, standing upright in 4 rows of 6, each one about 4 feet long and pointing at the sky. The crews who were given it did not want it, not because it failed, because when it missed, nothing happened. No explosion, no column of water, no noise at all. The bombs simply sank and were gone. Sailors were used to depth charges. A depth charge going off shook the ship and threw a tower of white water into the air. It felt like an attack. This new thing felt like nothing. So for most of a year, British captains left it alone. The Royal Navy eventually had to issue a written order requiring any captain who did not use it to explain in writing why. They were wrong about it. In the attacks where it was used, this weapon killed a submarine roughly once every 6 attempts. The depth charges the crews preferred killed one submarine in about 60. This is the story of the Hedgehog, a rack of spikes on a wet deck that the men who owned it thought was useless, and that turned out to be roughly 10 times deadlier than the weapon it replaced. But to understand why it mattered, you have to start with the problem nobody in the Royal Navy could solve. For the first 3 years of the war, hunting a submarine was close to guesswork, and the U-boat commanders knew exactly why. The Royal Navy hunted submarines with sonar, which the British called ASDIC. It sent a cone of sound down and forward from the hull of the ship. When that sound hit a submarine, it came back as an echo, and the operator could hear it. The system worked. But it had one flaw, and it was fatal. The sound beam pointed forward and down at a shallow angle. As the escort closed on the submarine, the target eventually slipped underneath the beam. At somewhere around 200 yards out, depending on how deep the submarine was running, the echo stopped. The submarine vanished. And that was the exact moment the attack had to happen. Depth charges were rolled or thrown off the back of the ship. The ship had to pass directly over the submarine, then drop them, then wait while they sank. Between losing contact and the charges reaching their depth, the better part of a minute went by. For that whole time, the escort was attacking a position where the submarine had been, not where it was. German commanders learned to use that minute. The standard escape was simple. Wait until the propeller noise passes overhead, then turn hard, 90 degrees, and hold it. A submarine could complete that turn inside the blind time. Some carried chemical decoys that released clouds of bubbles, which came back on sonar as a false echo and drew the escort away. There was a second problem. Depth charges had to be set to explode at a chosen depth, and the crew had to guess that depth. Early British charges could not be set deeper than about 350 feet. German submarines could dive well past that. And when the charges did go off, the explosion churned the water so violently that sonar was blinded for as long as 15 minutes. The escort got one attempt. After that, it was deaf, and the convoy it was guarding had already sailed on, so it could not stay and search. The numbers show how bad this was. Across more than 5,000 British depth charge attacks in the war, there were about 85 kills. A submarine died in roughly one attack out of 60. The Royal Navy needed a weapon that could be fired while the submarine was still on sonar, which meant firing forward, ahead of the ship, before contact was lost. The answer came from a department the rest of the Navy did not take seriously. It was called the Department of Miscellaneous Weapons Development. It had fewer than 60 people. It was staffed with scientists and civilians rather than career weapons officers, and the established naval departments regarded it as a collection of amateurs. One of its officers was a novelist. The man who drove it was Charles Goodeve, a Canadian scientist who had joined the Royal Naval Volunteer Reserve as a young man. The underlying idea was not his. It came from an army officer, Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Blacker, who had spent the years between the wars working on something called a spigot mortar. A conventional weapon fires a bomb out of a barrel. A spigot mortar has no barrel. It has a steel rod, the spigot, and the bomb sits over the rod like a sleeve. The charge is inside the tail of the bomb itself. When it fires, the bomb is thrown off the rod. That is why the Hedgehog looked the way it did. Those 24 upright spikes on the deck were the spigots. The bombs sat over them. Each bomb weighed about 65 pounds and carried roughly 30 pounds of torpex, an explosive more powerful than TNT by weight. They fired in a ripple, a pair at a time, a fraction of a second apart, with the highest angles first, so that all 24 hit the water together. That mattered for a practical reason. Firing them in sequence, rather than all at once, meant the deck did not have to be strengthened, so the weapon could be fitted to escorts that already existed. The bombs landed about 200 yards ahead of the ship, in an oval pattern roughly 140 feet by 120. A German submarine was around 220 feet long. A salvo placed correctly was very likely to put at least one bomb on the hull, and the fuses were the important part. They were contact fuses. The bombs did not explode at a set depth. They exploded when they hit something solid, at whatever depth that happened to be. Nobody had to guess how deep the submarine was, which produced the effect the crews hated and the effect that made the weapon work. If the bombs missed, they hit nothing, so nothing detonated. The water stayed still. Sonar kept hearing the submarine. The ship could reload in about 3 minutes and attack the same target again. Goodeve had to fight to get it accepted. In the spring of 1941, he arranged a demonstration for Winston Churchill. Churchill watched the salvo fired, then asked for a second, then a third. The next morning, the head of the Royal Navy sent for Goodeve and promised him support. And then the weapon went to sea, and for almost a year, it killed nothing at all. It entered service early in 1942. By November, it was fitted to more than 100 ships. In all that time, there was not one confirmed kill. The weapon was not the problem. The men using it were not firing it. A depth charge attack was loud and visible. A hedgehog miss was, in the words repeated across the fleet, discouragingly quiet. A captain who fired 24 bombs into the Atlantic and saw nothing happen had no way of knowing whether he had been close. Crews preferred the depth charge because it felt like something had been done, even when nothing had. That was when the written order came. Explain, in writing, why you did not use the Hedgehog. What actually fixed it was not new equipment. The department sent an officer to the escort base at Londonderry to brief crews ship by ship, with real examples of attacks that had worked. They also found a physical fault. North Atlantic spray was soaking the launchers and causing the firing circuits to fail, so the maintenance was changed. The kill rate began to climb, and it kept climbing as crews learned to trust it. The clearest demonstration came in the Pacific in May 1944. An American destroyer escort called the USS England, a small ship with a crew of under 200, sank 6 Japanese submarines in 12 days. It remains the greatest anti-submarine record of any single warship. Every one of those 6 was killed with the Hedgehog. On the last of them, other ships in her group had already attacked more than 20 times over the course of a day without success. England was called in and sank the submarine with a single salvo. The commander of her escort division signaled her afterwards to ask how she did it. In the Atlantic, the pattern was the same, and the reason was clear. When the escort USS Eugene E. Elmore hunted a U-boat that had just sunk an American carrier, her first Hedgehog salvo missed. Because the miss was silent, she never lost the submarine on sonar. She reloaded, fired again, and hit. A depth charge attack in the same position would have blinded her for a quarter of an hour, and the submarine would have been gone. By the end of the war, the arithmetic was settled. The Hedgehog accounted for only a small fraction of all attacks made by surface ships. It accounted for about a third of all the submarines they killed. The men who were given the Hedgehog judged it by how it sounded. It was quiet, so they assumed it was doing nothing, and for a year they left it bolted to the deck and used the weapon that made a noise and missed. The thing that made them distrust it was the exact thing that made it lethal. Silence meant sonar still worked. Sonar still working meant another attack, and another, until the submarine was dead. It was not the only weapon Britain built on that principle. The same spigot idea, a bomb sitting over a steel rod with the charge in its own tail, was handed to the infantry as a crude tube a single soldier could fire at a tank. It looked just as ridiculous. It won 6 Victoria Crosses. That story is already on this channel.